Look at my cock! Before we begin this week's episode of Florida Man Friday, I need to get out a little bit of a rant. I don't know what Kevin needs to get out of rants. I don't. I never have rants. I'm not known for rants. What would I rant about? Life is wonderful. The world is perfect. Kevin writes it, I read it. That's the format of the show. Let's go. But we're only 4 weeks into the series. Have we been doing this 4 weeks already? I'm recording this. The first one hasn't even got out yet, Kevin. I'm putting all my eggs in the basket with Florida Man Fridays, aren't I? So you better like it, and if you don't, well, I guess you won't, and it'll be cancelled. But come on, Florida Man Fridays! I love reading about it. You guys love watching it. Let's go! And I've had to read so many puns in these news articles that I'm considering going off the grid and becoming a hermit. Unabomber style. But maybe it's just because Florida journalists have so many stories to write about ridiculous Florida men, the only way they could keep themselves entertained. But there are just way too many puns. Well, wait until you're puns. Just wait until the 18th week of this, Kevin, and you'll just be riddling this with puns, and you'll have been overcome with Florida Man pun disease. In one story about a Wendys that we'll get to shortly, the reporter wrote that things turned frosty and that Florida Man found himself in a pickle. That's only 2 of the 3 puns in the first fucking sentence. Good Lord. This would drive me batty though, Kevin. I do understand. It is cringe-inducing. And you don't even want to know how many puns there were in the reporting for last week's castration fetish story. He really ballsed up that dick. Hey! Florida Man Fridays! Long story short, puns are horrible and should be punishable by death. I know some of Simon's other writers enjoy puns, and they will definitely be missed. It's nothing personal, but we simply cannot allow such crimes to continue. With that, it sounds personal, Kevin. It sounds real personal. I'm trying to think of a clever pun to piss Kevin off, but I got nothing. With that out of the way, it's time for Florida Man Friday, and if you couldn't guess from my previous mention of Wendys, this week's theme is fast food, another topic that does well on this channel. Boom! Just before we get back into today's episode, let me talk about something that is an absolute game changer in the underwear world, and that is sheath underwear. I know what you're thinking. Underwear. It's been around for a long time, Simon. How's sheath going to be any different from me? Well, let me ask. Ever find the boxer shorts too loose? Ever feel like briefs too tight? Where sheath, they fix all of that. I'm wearing a pair of sheath right now. I got a nice clean pair of sheath right here. I wear these every day. They're particularly fantastic for going to the gym, by the way. Just keep everything nicely in the right places. Also comfortable to sleep in, which is also nice. They have this multi-pocket system for all of your different man pieces. So your man pieces go in this dual pouch system, which keeps everything separated, cool, comfortable in the summer. It's just perfect. Also, if you're not feeling that, you could just wear them like regular underwear as well. Look, I was skeptical about this at first. Sheath sent me some. I tried them. I like them. Now it's basically all I wear. My suggestion to you, buy one pair, see if you like it, you probably will, and then you'll order more. Plus, they've got sheath made out of new materials like bamboo and mesh for extra cooling comfort because, as I'm recording this, it's August, it's pretty hot outside. Plus, they're the official sponsors of the UFC, so you know that they're legit. So head over to sheathunderwear.com and use the promo code BLAZE, and you'll get 20% off your order. That's sheathunderwear.com, promo code BLAZE for 20% off. Thank you to them for sponsoring, and now back to today's episode. Florida women trade sex for McNuggets. Oh, Florida woman. In April of 2017, 22-year-old Florida woman Alex Dirino walked out of a gas station in Bradenton and waved to a man standing by his car who was talking to another woman at the time. The man told the other woman he was there to pick up Alex, so she walked away and Alex got in his car. The reporting doesn't make it clear whether the two had actually planned to meet there or if he just took one look at Alex and knew she was the type of woman that he was looking for. The type of woman who was going to, trade chicken. What's going on, Florida? Shit. As the two drove around, the man decided to make some small talk by casually stating that he could really go for a blowjob. Alex offered to do it for $25. But they had to haggle a bit over the price. Admittedly, I hate to haggle, but I'm pretty sure the whole point of it is that you're supposed to make the price go down. This interaction actually went the opposite direction, and the new price was $25 and some chicken McNuggets.
Yeah, boy.
Of course, you can agree to any price you want when you have no intention of ever paying, and seeing as the man was actually an undercover detective, he wasn't planning on going through with the deal. What sort of world is this? Undercover detectives, chicken McNuggets. How do you even think of this shit? It's like, that's, if I was like a sex worker and the John was like, yeah, and some chicken McNuggets. I'll be like, I know you're not a cop, Jesus. Who would think of that? And seeing as the man was actually an undercover detective, he wasn't planning on going through with the deal. He pulled over and Alex was taken into custody by other detectives. Upon searching her purse, they found needles, a burnt pipe, and other paraphernalia consistent with heroin or crack use. At the time of her arrest, Alex was already serving 3 years probation for grand theft auto and possession of drug paraphernalia. Wait, is possession of drug paraphernalia a crime? If you're rolling around with a crack pipe but no crack? What if it's brand new? What if it's just for show? What if you just want to appear cool to all your other crack-smoking friends? Back when I worked at the comic book store, one of our customers was a local police officer who loved to tell us all sorts of stories. Some of them were wild, like when he got into a shootout with a criminal and an old lady walking a dog asked him to keep it down, but a lot of it was mundane stuff. Among the more mundane things were many stories of their daily trips to Burger King to buy food for people in the police station's holding cells. What? Why would you... Why would you be buying them fast food? Don't they get, like... This seems like an insane use of taxpayer money. What the fuck? So even though she was facing charges of prostitution at the very least, Alex probably finally did get her chicken nuggets. Well, she didn't get her chicken McNuggets, did she? She got whatever the knockoff Burger King version are. Florida man tries to rob Wendys with his fingers. This story took place just a couple of months ago, back in May. It was about 11:30 p.m. at the Avon Park Wendys, and a shirtless Florida man placed his order at the drive-thru. It's never said what the man ordered, but whatever he wanted was taking too long, so the cashier asked him to pull up and wait by the door for his food to be ready. When a fast food drive-thru is really busy and your order is going to hold up the line, this sort of request from the restaurant is really common. I've never had this happen to me, although it's been a long time since I went through a fast food drive-thru. I've had it happen to me a few times, and while it's slightly annoying, it's really not that big of a deal. They also typically make you pay before asking you to move up, so there really isn't any choice but to wait for your food. Or at least there shouldn't be, but Florida man felt differently. This Florida man jumped out of his car and approached the drive-thru window, telling the cashier that he could rob the place if he wanted. He then ran inside the restaurant, jumped on a table, presumably intending to rob the place. This feels so Florida, and it feels like so real that I feel like I could be there. Like I've told my Starbucks in America story where some crazy person just came in and started ranting about needing the bathroom. And I'm like, this feels like this guy's on drugs or whatever, and he's just getting down. He's just doing his thing. And I'd be sitting there in that McDonald's being like, what's going on? However, despite his previous boast, Florida man was not actually able to rob the restaurant. He sure tried to as he stood on the table, waving his guns around while yelling threats, but nobody was taking him seriously. Why, you ask? No one's asking that, Kevin, because it's the title of the bloody entry. Because the guns he was waving around weren't real. He was just holding his fingers out like guns, the same way a child would while playing cops and robbers. Despite Florida man presumably threatening to use his finger guns to finger ban everyone in the restaurant if they didn't hand over the money... The employees were not intimidated or impressed. Florida man got back into his car and drove away with no money and no food, even though I'm pretty sure he would have already paid for his meal. But beware, this Florida man is still on the loose and has yet to be identified. He's considered armed and dangerous, though only by himself. Florida man pulls gun over chicken wings. Again, feels so America. It was 8:39 p.m. on August the 27th, 2021, and 35-year-old Florida man Matthew Davis had just placed an order for some chicken wings at his local wing stop. As a side note, when the fuck did wings become so expensive? When I was in college, my fraternity brothers and I would go to Hooters somewhat frequently because it was like $20 to split a plate of 50 wings. Holy shit, that's a lot of wings. The problem with wings, right? Do you mean the double wings or the single wings? Like, have they been cut in half? Because if that's a real big difference, sometimes you go to a place and it'll be like 8 wings and you'll be like, 8 wings? That's not that many. And then they arrive and it's 8 doubles. So it's like 16 wings. And you're like, fuck, how am I supposed to finish this? The perfect price for broke-ass college students. That same plate of wings is now $70. That's like more than $1 per wing. What the fuck? Which is insane, but I digress. Matthew was told that his order would be ready at 8:58, but when he showed up to the restaurant at 9:40, his food wasn't ready. That is really annoying. That is really annoying. That is really late. According to the reporting, he was outraged that his food was an hour late, but I would argue that the food wasn't an hour late, Matthew was. How long are they supposed to just leave your wings sitting under a heating lamp before they decide you're not showing up and throw your order away? The restaurant... Wait, is that actually what happened? Is that what happened? The restaurant offered Matthew a free drink while he waited for his new order of wings, but that wasn't good enough. Instead, he told them he was going to get his strap. Witnesses heard him state, "They're going to see that I'm not playing." Is strap like slang for gun? Yeah! I didn't know that. He left the restaurant and retrieved a gun from his white van because of course he did. Simon can't see it, but if our lovely editor could place a picture of Matthew on the screen, I think we can all agree that he looks like the kind of guy that would drive a white van and shoot someone over chicken wings. I can't even see in Kevin, and I agree. It's unclear whether or not Matthew ever got his wings, but he absolutely got a ride down to the station where he was charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He explained his actions by saying it was only a few weeks since his mother had died, and he was stressed out. Bro, that is not an excuse to do crimes. You're 35 years old. You need to get your shit together.
Failure!
He also claimed that the gun wasn't loaded and he was merely trying to intimidate the employees with no intention of actually hurting anyone. Tell you what, mate, still a crime, isn't it? You know, because people are able to work much more quickly and efficiently when they're being held at gunpoint and fearing for their lives. I know Kevin's saying that as a joke. But if someone was like, Whistle Boy, you will get this video done with no cuts, or I will shoot you in the fucking head, I'll be like, God damn, am I gonna pay attention? Then again, either that excuse worked or Florida simply doesn't take gun crime seriously at all because Matthew was only sentenced to 18 months probation. He didn't even go to prison. What the fuck? He was waving it when he went in and said, I'm gonna hurry the fuck up with a gun. Florida man demands lettuce. I'm going to go ahead and say it. McDonald's is the absolute worst bottom-tier fast food chain imaginable. I agree, Kevin, in the United States. In Europe, much better. Much better. UK, worst of Europe. Europe in general, McDonald's? McDonald's is a bit of all right. I mean, it's not great. It's still McDonald's. But McDonald's in America is a shit show, and I'm not sure what happened. You started it and made it shit, and you shit at it. Like the UK in any sport. We invent it, and then we shit at it. Obviously, fast food is all unhealthy garbage, but other restaurants at least give me the option of pretending my burger isn't that unhealthy by putting a mountain of vegetables on top of it. Where the fuck are you getting a burger with just tons of vegetables on top of it? That'd be so weird. Do you mean in it? And what else other than lettuce and onion are you putting in there? Maybe tomatoes, but that's a bit weird. That's some Burger King shit right there. That's not an option at McDonald's, and I don't know how I'm supposed to even consider them a restaurant when their kitchen has literally zeros tomatoes in it. Zeros. Fuck. I was really trying to pretend that someone was holding a gun to my head, and that was my first mistake. And now it's not a mistake, because I made it part of the episode. Let's continue. I'm still not shot in the head.
That's cheating!
And I'm not the only person who feels that way, because 49-year-old Florida man Henry Aker Caballero had a vegetable-related run-in with an employee at a Checkers in Key Largo. When Harry tried to place... Wait, this isn't even happening at McDonald's. Kevin, did you just add that just so you could shit on McDonald's for a little while? I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Ooh, someone's in trouble.
When Henry tried to place the order for his burger, the employee politely informed him that the restaurant unfortunately didn't have any lettuce at the moment. Henry flew into a violent rage, banging on the drive-thru window and screaming at the employees, demanding a slice of lettuce on his sandwich. Bro, they don't have any lettuce. Dude, I was at a hotel last weekend.
肩に力を伝えて。
And I'd left my room key in the room. My wife had the other room key. I had to repark our car or some shit like that. So I was driving my car and I go to exit the hotel car park and the barrier's down. And I'm like, well, okay, it's gonna open up because I'm exiting. Nope, needed my room key to exit. And after about a minute of nothing happening, I'm pressing a button, but there's no call for assistance. But a staff member from the hotel comes up to me and is like, you need your room key to exit. And I'm like, yes, I don't have it. And she just says, well, you need your room key to exit. And I'm like, now my car is sitting at the barrier. There are 2 cars behind me. And I'm like, I don't have it. It appears we're at an impasse. What do you want me to do? I can't reverse. Or are you going to traffic coordinate everyone up? Just use your magical card and open the gate. And then after about 10 seconds of just pause, she opens the gate and I'm like, why did we have to go through this thing? I don't have the room key card. It's not going to magically appear, is it? Just buzz me out. Good Lord. It's like this. The lettuce man. They don't have lettuce. Nothing is changing that reality. Nothing.
Daddy, chill.
Understandably, the terrified employees called the police. When they arrived, Henry denied having spent the last God knows how long screaming and attempting to break the window, but he also wouldn't cooperate with the police. He refused to give them his name or driver's license, though once he was taken out of his car and put into handcuffs, he stopped resisting. Henry was taken to the police station. Henry is like the least Florida name ever.
I can't help it. It's maddening.
Like Henry. He sounds like a bit of a posh twat from the UK.
Takes one to know one.
Henry. He was charged with resisting a police officer without violence and disorderly conduct. A fun little detail about this story is that it took place on November the 4th, 2020. I suspect that means very little to Simon and our European viewers. It absolutely means nothing. Remember the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes night, where we celebrate Guy Fawkes not managing to blow up the Houses of Parliament by burning him, an effigy of him on a bonfire, because that's what we do with our terrorists. I think America should introduce this. Like 9/11, you should make big bonfires and throw an effigy of Osama bin Laden onto it. It'd be fucking great. It'd be great. Kids would love it. Fuck yeah! I suspect that means very little to Simon and our European viewers, but those of you watching this in the US may recognize that date as being right after the massive nationwide recall of lettuce because it was potentially contaminated with E. coli. Oh, okay. So he would have got poisoned. I'd just poison that. I'd be like, get it out of the E. coli bin and give it to him. Florida man didn't want none if you've got buns. Hun, I've still not made a mistake, and I can't believe I got through that subtitle. America has lots of regional foods, many of which are really good. I never knew it was a regional food until I went to Florida, but here in Boston...
How about Taunton? My cousin Eric's from Taunton. Wicked.
We have something called a steak bomb, which is amazing. It's a sub made with shaved steak, salami, provolone cheese, peppers, onions, and mushrooms. That sounds fucking incredible, Kevin. I have no idea why this isn't popular all over the country, and I'm even more confused by the fact that Philly cheesesteaks are the regional steak sub with national notoriety. Yeah, on the street where I used to live, there was a place selling... Oh no, I'm not thinking of Philly cheesesteaks. I'm thinking of... Oh, fuck, what is it? It's some Canadian thing that I've totally forgotten, and I just... That's it. It's not even American, is it? Fuck. God, I'm so stupid. I have had cheesesteaks, though. Wait, is that a steak sub? I thought cheesesteak was that weird fried thing that you get in the South. I'm so confused. A Philly cheesesteak is just shaved steak and cheese whiz on a hoagie roll. That sounds fucking horrible.
I'm into it.
And it's pretty gross. Yes, I had one while actually in Philly, and it was gross there too. And yes, Simon, this tangent was worth it because people take these trash sandwiches way too seriously, so you can expect a whole lot of engagement in the comments from people arguing over which restaurant makes the best cheesesteak. Also, the cheese in a can! That's all I gotta say. What the f***, America? How do people seriously take their Philly cheesesteaks, you ask? Seriously enough to go to jail over one. In 2019, 27-year-old Florida man Joseph Lagana ordered a Philly cheesesteak while he was at the Gun Highway Flea Market. What the fuck is a cheesesteak doing at a flea market? But when the sandwich was served to him, it wasn't in a traditional sub roll, it was on a sesame seed bun. This was considered an unacceptable affront to everything that Philadelphia, nay, America stands for. Joseph, who was extraordinarily drunk, of course he was at a flea market. Of course he was, that's a natural drinking environment. And then someone to have a Philadelphia cheesesteak with canned cheese, what's going on?
What is going on?
Anyway, he flew into a belligerent rage, yelling at everyone and everything inside. The owner of the flea market eventually called the cops. Joseph was arrested and charged with disorderly intoxication. On the bright side, I'm sure he got much better food in jail than anyone gets in Philadelphia. But my desire to talk Philly cheesesteaks isn't why I included this story in today's episode. It's because of the ironically fitting end to Joseph's story. After being arrested over a cheesesteak, he was booked into the Land O'Lakes detention facility. Don't worry, Simon, the Americans will understand that comment. I was like, Land O'Lakes. It sounds more like a resort. Florida man, that's it? You're not going to explain it to me, Kevin? What the fuck? He's just like, that's an inside joke for you Americans, and fuck you, Simon. Fuck you, everyone else in the world. Fuck you, and I've got my Boston cheese steak bomb. Well, fuck you, Kevin. Piece of shit. Florida man tries to start naked fight club.
That rules. That kicks ass.
While researching this episode, I couldn't help but notice that the vast majority of fast food-themed Florida man stories happen late at night, and this story is no different. Either Floridians need to learn to hold their liquor better, or bars and liquor stores need to close earlier in the evening for the safety of the community. I don't expect either of those things to happen, but I can't imagine stories like this one would ever happen if Florida man was sober. Anyway, it was about 1 a.m. when a woman received a phone call from her boyfriend. He was riding his bike home past the Chick-fil-A, but there was some random dude chasing him. She drove... Why are you in a chase as an adult? What's going on? Chases occur in movies and on school playgrounds. Why are you involved in a chase? She drove to the scene, at which point she saw 30-year-old Florida man Corey Hatzel repeatedly demanding that her boyfriend fight him.
I want you to hit me as hard as you can. As hard as you can.
Nothing had prompted this at all. Corey was just really looking for a fight for some reason. Since the other man wasn't interested in fighting a stranger without a reason to do so, Corey took the only logical next step. He removed all of his clothes and started yelling, "Look at my cock! Look at my cock! My dick! My cock!" He then approached traffic, demanding that people in the passing cars also look at my cock! Reports don't enter that is going to be cut, isn't it? That's going to be the bit at the beginning. Oh, fuck. Reports don't indicate that any of the cars slowed down at all, so it's probably fair to assume that whatever Corey was packing wasn't very impressive.
Your dingus. Does it look real?
Then why are you shouting, "Look at my cock, Corey"?
That's a little gay. Hold on.
As you might have guessed, police were quickly called to the scene. Corey could have cut his losses and allowed himself to quietly be taken into custody, but if he did that, then he wouldn't be a Florida man. Instead, he yelled at the sheriff's deputies, "Look at my cock! Look at my ass!" What the fuck? He's smoking crack or something, right? He's on that, fentanyl train or whatever causes this baby. Crystal meth? I don't know, maybe he's on one of those things you buy at the gas station that make people crazy, the legal highs. I would have thought that this was a guaranteed way to wind up on a sex offender registry, but as far as I can tell, Corey managed to dodge that particular bullet. He was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and resisting an officer without violence. Episode 5, The Florida Woman Strikes Back. Aside from that first story about a sex worker wanting McNuggets and the last one that just happened to take place outside of a Chick-fil-A by random chance, oh yeah, it's supposed to be about fast food. Today's is that just cheated this. This happened outside of Chick-fil-A, so fast food, I guess. Sure, Kevin, sure. Sounds like lazy writing to me, Kevin. Doesn't it? Doesn't it, Kevin? Today's episode has all been about Florida men being assholes to fast food employees. There are no shortages of these stories, with varying amounts of violence involved. Daddy already covered it a couple of years ago, but you may recall that a Florida man threw an alligator into the drive-thru window at Wendys because Florida man be crazy. Absolutely, I remember that. It's a crazy story. However, what none of these people seem to take into account is that the employees at these stores are also Florida men and women. Whether it's Florida or not, fast food employees tend to take an unnecessary amount of abuse from both customers and their corporate overlords. But as some rowdy customers at a Lakeland McDonald's found out just a few weeks ago at the time of writing, sometimes the employees will fight back to show them who is the real Florida man or woman. They have a Florida person off. It was at about 1 a.m. on June the 14th, and a car full of men had just received their order from the McDonald's drive-thru. The customers, for a minute there, I read that as 14 men, and I'm like, 14 men in a car just ordering McDonald's? What's going on? But it's just a car full of men. The customers believed that their order was wrong, so they began arguing with the employee, 22-year-old Florida woman Chastity Gardner. After arguing for some amount of time, Chastity grabbed a drink and threw it out of the window at their car before slamming the window and walking out of view of the security camera. Another example, another employee. That was where I get shot. Fuck. That was it. I'm sorry. Another employee went to lock the window, but two of the passengers from the car had gotten out, forced the window open, and were leaning through the window to grab anything they could, mostly just empty cups, throwing them everywhere. What are you doing with your life? The men had already returned to their vehicle by the time Chastity came back, holding a gun. Fucking gangster. So it looked like things were going to de-escalate. However, after she closed the window again and began walking away, one of the customers opened the window again and threw a full drink through the window. The cup didn't strike Chastity directly, but she definitely got hit with some ice and some amount of liquid. It was at this point that a second security camera outside the building caught Chastity walking out of the McDonald's and opening fire on the vehicle as it started to walk away. Holy shit. That escalated quickly. The car was hit with at least one bullet, though it's unclear if anyone inside was injured. Chastity was arrested and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I'd say there's probably a valuable lesson to be learned from all of this, but let's be real, none of you needed to be taught that this behavior is inappropriate, and Florida Man is incapable of learning. Look at my cock! Cheese in a can!